What is up, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am pulling back the curtain on the credit card companies and I am revealing the secrets about credit cards that they don't want you to know. If you're watching this video and you feel burdened by credit card debt, I really want you to know that you are not alone. On average, each household that has credit card debt has over $8,000 worth of credit card debt. Here is the whole motivation behind your credit card lender. The reason that they do everything that they do comes down to this. They want to get paid. Throughout this whole process, you have got to remember that that is their number one motivation. Their whole strategy is this: they'll open up some sort of bank or savings account and people will keep their money there. They will then take that money and lend it out through credit cards, charging anywhere between could be 20 to 30% interest. They will give then maybe 1% interest back to the people that have their money in a high yield savings account, and probably even less than 1% for people that have their money in a checking account. And this is a big reason why we don't just save to save, we save and then invest. And here's the lender's biggest fear. They are loaning out money to these people and it is unsecured debt, meaning you aren't taking this money and buying a car. You're not buying a house. You're buying things like cheeseburgers and cleaning supplies and dog toys and Airbnb stays. It's not stuff that they can come and take back. They cannot repossess unsecured debt. Understanding the difference between secured and unsecured debt is everything when you're dealing with a credit card lender, because you're in control. It's unsecured debt. They are not in control. Step number one is to call your credit card lender and just explain your situation. The best thing that you can do here is to be honest. Did you just lose a job? Are you facing a rent increase? Are you taking control of your money and you're just trying to pay back everything that you owe? Be honest about your situation. Here is a very important pro tip for you. Before you get on the call, brainstorm, write down some key words that you think might trigger a response from the representative. When I worked with clients during the COVID pandemic, when my clients got on the phone with their credit card lenders, they had to specifically say that they had been affected by COVID. The representative literally could not reveal what relief options they had until my client said the words COVID-19. I know it's weird, but certain words are going to trigger a response from the representative. Their hands might be tied until you say specific words. Keep that in mind. It's not enough to just call them up and blanket statement ask what they can do for you. Go and detail your situation. Write it down ahead of time. Use those trigger words to hopefully elicit a response from the representative. Every once in a while, you might get someone who is just 100% uncooperative. You're not getting anywhere with them. Make sure that you get their name, write their name down, politely end the call, and then call again. It's most likely a call center, so you will have a different person every single time. If you call multiple times on different days and you're still hitting a roadblock, they say nothing can be done, start asking specifically about lowering your interest rate or refinancing the loan, income-based repayment options, freezing the interest or fees while you work on the balance, or you can also ask for a temporary reduction in payment. The purpose of a temporary reduction in payment is not to give you a break, quote unquote, so that you can drink lattes and watch Netflix. It's so that you can take that money and really attack a smaller debt or a debt with a higher interest rate. Let's say that there are no relief options. You've gone through all of those ideas. You've called several times on multiple different days, talked to different people, and the answer is still the same. There's absolutely nothing that they can do for you. Remain calm. Remember, this is still unsecured debt. You are in control, and let's move on to step number 2. Since it is unsecured debt, there's nothing that they can take back from you. The only thing that they can do is affect your credit score. They can absolutely tank your credit score. The other option is that if you owe usually over $10,000, they can take you to court over the debt. I say $10,000 because it has to be enough in debt that they would come out ahead after paying all the legal fees of actually taking you to court. If they're just going to break even, or if they're going to lose money on taking you to court, they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to sell your debt to a collection agency. So hear me out on this. I know you're thinking, collection agency, oh my gosh, I hate them. But hear me out. This can actually work in your favor in a huge way. So let's say, just using round numbers so that it's a little bit easier, that you owe $10,000. Your credit card lender then sells your debt to the collection agency for $7,000. Remember, the number one priority that they have is to get paid. If they're going to get $7,000 from this collection agency, or they're going to get zero from you, it's better for them, after several months of you not paying, for them to get $7,000 from this collection agency. Also, quick side note, I say $7,000. There's no constant percentage. It's all relative and it all varies depending on the debt and the collection agency and a bunch of other variables. So just go with me on the numbers. The numbers are just going to be purely hypothetical, but the process still stands. So this collection agency knows that you technically owe $10,000, but they bought it for $7,000. So if they get anything from you over $7,000, they will technically profit from this transaction. As a result, the collection agency calls you and borderline harasses you, and they say the only way to make it stop is to pay up. But you don't. And this goes on for several weeks, maybe several months. And then before you know it, your debt is sold again, this time for less money. So collection agency number one sells your debt to collection agency number two, this time for $5,000. Collection agency number one took a small loss on it. So now collection agency number two just has to get you to pay anything over $5,000 and they profit. Meanwhile, they're still telling you that you owe $10,000. This happens again and again and again. The longer that your debt is in collections, the longer that this process goes on. Pretty soon, your debt is now being passed around for pennies on the dollar. And like I said in the beginning, this works in your favor because now you are able to settle the debt for much less than $10,000. Now, it's always technically better to pay the debt in full because, number one, it was your debt. It wasn't someone else's. Anytime a debt isn't repaid, it's not like the numbers just magically disappear. Someone has to eat that expense. And like I said, technically it should be you since it was your debt. Number two, paying your debt in full is also better for credit score purposes. But keep in mind, if your debt has been in collections for a long time, it's probably already tanked your credit score pretty hard. And so make sure you do the math on it and see if paying the debt in full would actually make a meaningful difference for you. If you are wanting to still settle the debt and be done with it forever, I have walked many clients through this process, and here is a brief outline of what we do. Don't forget that I can't know every nuance of your situation. I don't know the details of your relationship with your credit card lender, so I'm simply explaining the overall process that I walk people through, but you are solely responsible for your outcome after following this process. If you are already 4+ months behind on your credit card, meaning you haven't made any payments in over 4 months, and your balance is under or around $10,000, chances are the fees and the interest have hit you pretty hard. Your credit score has already tanked and your balance is already in collections, or it's going to be on its way soon. At this point, you have two options. Number one, if you have the cash and you're going to be using your credit score to buy a house in the near future, go ahead and catch up your credit card. I know it sucks to pay so much money in fees and in interest, but you'll completely avoid this cat and mouse game and you'll save a lot of time. If you don't have the cash to catch up the credit card, and this means if it's literally either pay rent or catch up the credit card, pay your rent. I know it's scary to let that credit card go to collections, but trust me, Getting evicted is so much scarier. Take a look at the total balance that is going to be going to collections. You're going to need to save up 50% of that balance in order to negotiate anything at all. Once the collection agency starts calling, know your rights. These are very clearly laid out in the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. There are 3 restrictions on communications by debt collectors when collecting a debt. Number 1 is time and place. Debt collectors may not contact you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They may also not contact you at your workplace. Number 2, harassment. Debt collectors may not harass you or anyone else over the phone or through any form of contact. I know that this one is vague, but if you feel harassed, let them know that you are aware of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and you know that they are not allowed to harass you and yet you feel like they are. Number 3, representation by attorney. If a debt collector knows that an attorney is representing you about the debt collector generally must stop contacting you and must contact the attorney instead. When the collection agency starts to call you, the very worst thing that you can do is ignore their calls. And I know that this feels very counterintuitive, but do not ignore them. This actually gives them more power and more control over the situation. Instead, we want to confront this head on. Instead of ignoring their phone calls, answer the very first time that they call and let them know that you will be setting a schedule of when you will be allowing their phone calls. It will go something like this. Make sure that you have a Word document or a notepad dedicated to this process because you will be writing down every single conversation and who it was with. You want to start out by answering the call and just explaining your situation again. If you had to choose between paying rent and paying the credit card, let them know that. This is usually where I also instruct my client to let the collection agency know that they are working with a financial coach. The collection agency usually receives that very well, and it puts a lot of trust between them and the collection agency. As weird as it sounds, you want to build a relationship and trust with the collection agency. Remember, from the very beginning, their number 1 objective is to get paid. If you ghost them, if you don't answer the phone, if you never talk to them, they will become even more frantic. They will call you more. They will annoy you more. They will be more aggressive, and the whole process will be so much more difficult for you. If you answer the phone, if you build trust and really build a relationship, it will be so much easier for you. After you explain your situation, you want to explain your plan for settling the debt. If you already have 50% of the total balance, you can go ahead and offer that to them for a settlement in full. If you don't yet have 50% of the original amount, you can go ahead and let them know that 50% of the original amount is what you're working to save up. Don't tell them how much you already have saved. There's 2 really big rules with this. Number 1, do not do payments of any kind. We don't do payments to a collection agency. We either do pay in full or we do nothing. Rule number 2 is do not give them any sort of banking information or banking access. 0. Every single time they ask, let them know that your answer is always going to be no. This is a big place where people go wrong. Do not give them any information. They already have your contact information. That's literally all that they need. They don't need to know where you bank. They don't need to know how much you have saved. They don't need to know any of that, okay? They just need your contact information and you are in control. So we want it to stay that way. Quick side note here as well, if you tell them that you have 50% of the total balance and you are willing to settle in full, they might laugh in your face. And that's okay. The money is still in your possession. You haven't given them anything and they will get nothing as a result. The next really important piece of this phone call is as you wrap up the call, let them know that you will be talking to them again next week at a set day and time and that you will be contacting them. They do not need to call or bother you at all between now and that set date. You will not be answering their calls at all until, again, the day and time that you agree upon. At that day and time, though, you need to follow through. Make good on your word. Again, we're building relationship, we're building trust with the collection agency, and you need to follow through. This is so important. At this next call, you can give them an honest update of your financial standing, but remember, don't give them any account numbers, don't give them any specific amounts within those accounts. And then if you have 50% of the original balance, you can offer that to them as a pay in full settlement. Now you will repeat this process each week until you both agree on a settled amount. Maybe that's 50%, or maybe you get tired of the weekly calls and you're willing to settle for slightly more. But remember, they are going to get tired of these weekly calls as well. When they finally give you a verbal agreement, don't give them any sort of banking access. Don't give them any money at all until you get everything in official writing. Remember, the original balance still stands. I've heard horror stories of people negotiating their settlement in full, which is what they thought. They got a verbal agreement, but they didn't get it in writing. So when they gave them the money, all it did was take their balance down. It didn't wipe out the balance as a whole. Can you imagine doing all of this work for that? All it did was pay down the balance, and they still had a lot left to pay. Don't be that horror story. I know you guys are better than that. Make sure you get the full settlement all in writing. After you get the settlement in full in official writing, don't give them any money. And I know I'm like really sounding paranoid at this point, but every single client that I've walked through this process has not gotten screwed over. So I really like to play it safe. Instead, what I want you to do is open up a completely separate checking account. This is free. Open the separate checking account and transfer the exact settlement amount to that account. Once you do that, and only once you do that, can you give them that specific account information, and they can go in and take the money and clear the debt as paid in full. Before they take the money, I recommend asking when this will be reflected on your credit score. You can go to the agency or actually your original lender and ask for a goodwill deletion from your credit score, but at the end of the day, they don't have to give it to you. It never hurts to ask, but they can say no. It might be on there for a while, so keep that in mind. What a process, right? I know it sounds long and it sounds draining, and maybe it is, but it's been such a great option for my clients that have been teetering on bankruptcy, or my clients that make really good money, but they just can't keep up with the credit card payments. Let me know below in the comment section how this process worked out for you. As always, don't forget to smash the like button if you got value out of this video today, and subscribe to my channel for future videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.